Hello everyone, welcome to round 11 of the Limit of Adhesion Radical Championship presented by Make Real Media. I'm Gareth and with me as always is Jim. And Jim, I have two questions for you this week. Question 1, how are you doing? And question 2, when is a Radical Championship not a Radical Championship?
Yes, I'm doing very well. Hello, Gareth. Hello, everybody. It sounds like you're setting me up for a joke and you want a punchline there. So you tell me, when is a Radical Championship not a Radical Championship?
Well, when we're racing in the DW12 Indy car around an oval track in America, as we are this week for our championship finale. So we are actually finished with the Radicals for this week. And as I say, the Dallaras are coming out to play.
Well, it's a hell of a way to end the championship, isn't it? This is quite unorthodox, but I like it.
Yeah, it's different. It's kind of slightly influenced by the content available. But so anyway, let's talk about the championship though. Mark Tranter now in a clear lead and looking like he's set for the championship. Yeah,
it certainly does, doesn't it? It's been his to lose for a while, I think. And last week at Laguna Seca, I thought Kelly might have had a sniff at getting something back with the race that he was having, but the mistakes that both the drivers had ended up being great entertainment. But Tranter still finished ahead of Kelly in the end, so still advantage Tranter. But I think the real battle now is for third place.
Yeah, so barring an absolute disaster for Mark this week, we're expecting to crown him champion. But as you say, behind him, we've got David Lyon and Rob Miller, Will Burnett and co, all battling for that third spot in the championship. Dave after his win last week, so we shall see what we shall see. So let's tell us about the track then, Jim.
Well, what is there to say? It's a massive curly straight here. This is, of course, one of the most famous of the speedways in America. And so it's quite nice that we're finishing here. But yeah, it's an oval with essentially 3 corners. They call them, but they said they've got 4 corners, and the start-finish straight is actually on what they call the front stretch. But front stretch, back stretch, and then a bunch of left-handers. There's not much more else to say. So the slipstream, the suck, is going to be vitally important, I'd imagine. And from what we're going to see in qualifying, I think we'll see a big example of that.
Yeah, and track we visited before with the road course layout, so the drivers are fairly familiar with some of it, and we know it's a bumpy old track as well, and one that's going to shake your wrists to pieces. But let's take a look at the pole lap now and then the highlights from qualifying.
Well, this week we've got the highlights from the qualifying session. You can see straight away Tranter getting right in amongst it and taking out Burnett. Burnett running a red and white McLaren livery from the early 90s, now on board with Gavin Kelly. So the difference this week compared to other weeks as we're on the oval is the big benefit you get from what the drivers call the suck, which is the slipstream essentially. You can see Mark Tranter now really taking advantage, not wanting to get stuck behind them, trying to take advantage of the amount of time they've got in qualifying. Now back on board with Kelly going in to get new tyres. So yeah, gives a bit of different dynamic, doesn't it, this different format of qualifying. So up until now the drivers have only got 1 lap or maybe 2 to really nail it with the warm tyres, and they're on the circuits by themselves. Now we've got Garlic. You don't want to go under the yellow line, you lose so much grip, but the slipstream maybe works a bit too good, but you really have to pick the line. You can see now we're on board with line. Tranter getting off the oval too. So at the moment, with 6 minutes to go, we've got Garlic, Jones, Line, Miller just then setting 4th place, Tranter in 5th, Ledge 6th, Gavin Kelly in 7th, Hankin in 9th. Hankin in 8th, Will Burnett in 9th, Dirty Winslade in 10th, and Patrick Sheehy in 11th. But that gap, about half a second between everybody. Obviously the battling now, Burnett will be wary after what happened earlier with Tranter. Yeah, you can see now just everyone jockeying for position out on track, and the lap times are taking a big difference depending on how people drive. So now you can see Tranter, the big benefit of the slipstream there, getting right, pulls that right the last second, get on that 69's clean air, but then he's got a double slipstream now, it's really good for him. He goes high. He's got a double slipstream, and now you can see just how much benefit that gets. He gets the ledge ahead of him and Burnett in their one-off liveries. And Tranter now gets into first place there with 37.93 and just about avoids the contact there. Burnett goes low, high. Well, after all of that excitement, it ends up with Mark Tranter getting pole position with a 37.926 with Will Burnett in second place. Dave Line is on the second row with Lawrence Aaron Jenkins with a great fourth position qualifying. James Garlick is in fifth with Gary Jones joining him on the third row. Rob Miller in seventh place with Gavin Kelly in eighth. Tony Hankin is on the fifth row with Patrick Sheehy, the newcomer, with Gareth Winslade starting from the back by himself on the back row.
So here we are in the pit lane then, ready for a rolling start for the first time in this championship. You can see the cars there waiting to go out, although I'm only seeing 10 of the 11 cars. That means Winslade has missed the start. But there's the cars heading out onto track. You can see Mark Tranter ahead of Will Burnett. Then we've got Dave Line, James Garlick, and they're all trampling round the track slowly. Jim, your first big view of the big oval, the big curly straight.
It's just a dream, isn't it? A dream come true to see so many cars on a big curly straight. And was that somebody going
to contact there at the back?
James Garlick receiving a bit of a love tap, I think.
Yeah. Lots of new liveries this week for a one-off race. The guys all decided to try and trip us up as much as possible. So thank you to Mark for keeping his car looking as close to his normal car as possible.
Champion in our
Winslade
hearts
too,
as well,
in an
isn't
orange
he?
car. Yeah. Well, Dave Line has got a yellow, white with the usual green rear wing as usual, so that's good to see.
It's a cracking qualifying for the ledge as well, up there in fourth place in his yellow liveried car there.
Crazy seeing him that high. It's good for him. Be excited to see what he can do. And there's Winslade in the pits there, so as we say, missing the start. Shame for him. View back from the safety car now.
I'll be disappointing for Winslade, but again can make something different happen in the race. It'd be boring if it was a procession, so that adds a bit of spice, doesn't it?
Anything can happen. Let's see what it does. So very slow pace car lap here, and the pace car into the pits. Now Mark becomes the safety car, and he's gone. Mark gets the hammer down, and we are racing, and that's Mark leading from Will, leading from Dave. Heading down to turn one now.
Mark really got the hammer down well then, didn't he? There was no chance of getting a jump there from Burnett as much as he'd like to.
Well, he's straight into the slipstream, and we can see James Garlick going ahead of the ledge. And is that Rob Miller getting involved as well? Well, 4 wide there. Gavin Kelly in his Nigel Mansell IndyCar from the 93 season. He's gone for that paint job, which is reminiscent of his normal radical car. On board with Will Burnett now, going to the outside of Mark Tranter.
He's really caught up there, hasn't he? Burnett is lap one done, and he's now on the outside. Tranter on the inside. The guys have been very well behaved thus far, giving each other just enough space. And yeah, lovely on board there. He's switched to the inside, and Dave Line now getting amongst it as well.
Yeah, Line straight in the action. And look at that group behind him. That's 5 cars all together. Super close battles.
It's a bit like the Tour de France now. You've got the leading pack and the chasing pack. These top 3 all within a hair width of each other.
Yeah, very precise driving required now. damage is off for this race to try and make sure that the cars get to the finish. Most of the field don't have that much experience of oval racing.
You can see now Burnett gone to the outside again.
Here we can see Rob Miller trying to pull ahead of James Garlick and the ledge.
Oof.
Behind them, Gary Jones and Gavin Kelly going side by side. And James just dipping onto the flat below the yellow line. Got to be careful there. You're going to upset the car and cause a big accident.
You can see just how far back that's affected him there. Was it Kelly?
He did well getting out of the throttle there and controlling that one.
I think everyone did well from not hitting each other.
Yeah. The ledge going up high around, trying to get round Rob Miller. More of a Formula E Mercedes livery he's got this week.
Still very, very nice, isn't it? Oh, and Burnett's now going low and in the lead.
Just inching through. Well done, Burnett. And oh, look at Dave's car squirming around. Oh, and
going a bit too low. Ooh, did he hold it? Well done.
yeah, you got to. If you just dip those wheels on below the yellow line, then the track immediately flattens, and you'll lose all your downforce and generally have an enormous accident unless you can get out the throttle and control it.
We can see now.
So we can see the ledge. Yeah, and do you see the ledge and Rob Miller still side by side and at it in 4th and 5th. And there's Dave Lyon diving to the inside of Mark and into the lead.
Can keep it on the actual oval itself like he has. Yeah, that's exactly what we want to do. And we've got a back marker there.
That is a back marker, and that is it's Winslade.
A bit like Schumacher and Hackett at Spa that time, wasn't it? As they go around the outside.
Yeah.
Either side of Winslade there. It's very busy now.
Super busy. So Winslade a lap down on the leaders, and they're still side by side, and behind him is Burnett, Miller, Jones, Kelly.
And the ledge up in 3rd place now.
Yeah.
So Winslade
is in the slipstream. And look at the ledge going right down low. Right to the inside. And Winslade trying to unlap himself. As the ledge has made a bit of an error and fallen back.
That's the 3rd car we've seen just go a bit too low when they're trying to overtake.
And get swallowed by Kelly and Jones. Now see, the problem that, Winslade and Lyon and Tranter all have is that although Winslade's a lap down, every time he tries to let them through, he's straight into the slipstream and alongside him again. And I just can't really see what he can do about it, really, short of just pulling over but then that's his race done, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a... Well, this is of course what you see in ovals, where really trying to get really close there. But it's what you see in ovals when the cars go for the pits. It's just drivers are in all sorts of positions, and yeah, Winslade's in a bit of a can't win situation now.
No. So we can see a 4-car train for the lead, plus Winslade. And a bloody great airliner. So, Lyon leading from Tranter. Winslade picking up the slipstream from Lyon, going back to the outside.
Well, it's good entertainment at least for Winslade that he's not stuck by himself at the back of the pack. He's just stuck with all the rest of the leaders. There's a lot to concentrate on there. Burnett now storming up.
Burnett going through.
It's a good recovery drive from Burnett there after losing a bit of time, but did Winslade have a slight bit of contact?
A bit of a wobble there, and Miller coming cruising onto the back of this as well. So he's picking up the slipstream from 4 cars compared to Lyon and Tranter, who are punching the hole in the air as we go 3 wide into the corner there, and you can see the cars moving around. The concentration must be immense.
It's a completely different kind of racing, this one, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is not a road course sort of race at all, where you have the straights or the long
Right-handers.
Obviously, the long slow corners to regain a bit of concentration. This is constant.
And there they go. Winslade and Line nerfing each other. And,
Winslade trying to
What a
mount
shame.
Line there.
well, they've known each other for a few years.
Oh, is that where Dirty Winslade actually originates from?
Who knows?
Oh, that's a shame for Line.
Lines. So the safety car out, but Line's car looked very damaged there for a no damage race. So what on earth has gone on there?
Well, this will be the first safety car that we've had in the Limited Adhesion Championship, I believe.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but on board with Dave Lyon's car now. But we could see from the off-board that his rear wheel was broken, but I don't understand how, considering we are, as I say, in a no damage race.
Oh, there's something definitely broken on that, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it too. It looked like he was crabbing a little bit on 2 or 3 wheels. And
These Indy cars have so much torque though, they're very difficult to get out the pits. You've got to be very gentle on the throttle, otherwise you will just spin it up. And you can see, yeah, the left front is off the ground. Dave's really struggling to get that car back into the pit lane.
Yeah, lovely little pirouette there with his rear right not moving at all. That's quite a difference from last week, of course, for Line after his tremendous victory.
Yeah. Still over 16 minutes to go though, so plenty of time for him to get back into the fight.
And Miller going into the
There's
pits.
Miller going into the pits, and is that Winslade just following him in? So, obviously trying to take advantage of the safety car period to do their refuelling. The cars don't actually have enough in the tank to get through the whole race, so they would need to pit.
It does make sense, especially with your the pace of the pace car being so slow that Miller might be able to catch back up onto the rear of the pack.
Yeah.
If they can make it to the end of the race.
Pitting under the safety car obviously does save you time, because you're not losing as much time to the cars running full flat out around the track as normal. So let's take a breather and just look at our order now. We've got Mark Tranter leading from Will Burnett, from Gavin Kelly, Gary Jones in P4 now, with James Garlick in 5th, Tony Hankin in 6th, Lawrence Aaron Jenkins down in 7th, Rob Miller in 8th, David Lyon 9th and in the pits. Oh, and Winslade now in 9th, due to Dave still being in the pits, and Patrick Sheehy doesn't look like he started the race at all, so 16 laps down. On board with the Ledge now in his Pennzoil IndyCar livery. And there's Mr. Miller.
Well, hasn't it been a great race? So yeah, well, there you go, Miller.
Into the back of the Ledge during the...
Oh, he's got the same problem there as Line as well. He's on 3 wheels. Oh, what is... Oh, Winslade is now stuck behind him too. Well, what happened there? So I said that Miller might be able to catch up on the back of the pack, but I think that was a bit too literal. He took that as... Yeah, so
Well, Miller went at the back of the Ledge, but I'm wondering whether Winslade went at the back of him to cause that.
Yeah, so is Winslade then now just staying behind Miller to allow, I presume, not to overtake onto the safety car, and now the two of them, hopefully without damage, will they be able to make it back to the back of the pack easily?
Well, damage is off, and Winslade nearly doing it again. He's having a shocker.
So these two are at the back, and thankfully have not really lost out despite the contact there. But
well, they're at the back and they've refueled now, so they are good to go to the end of the race.
Absolutely. So I was going to say, so they may look like they're at the back now, but with all those other cars ahead of them having to pit as we go into the replays. Oh,
so line just comes across. Look like to me. It's so hard to be driving around on the low line like that. So
well, you have 1 degree of steering change, and you see the results there. You can see it from the off-board.
No, see that one? It looks like Winslade comes down.
Maybe a bit of both, that, isn't it? Both of them not aware that each other is going to start turning at the same time, and
Yeah, it's super hard to go lap after lap like that. So here's... Oh, yeah, so Winslade just completely misjudging the pace of the pack and into the back of Miller.
some closing speed of those cars, isn't there? Wow, you can really see the difference. And Winslade tries to go under, but then...
Well, I think he wants to help. Because remember, we saw Miller was stuck with his wheels spinning in the gap between the flat and the banked sections of track.
Well, how would Dirty Winslade help? The only way he knows how, by punting the other cars.
A bit of ramming. And here they go.
Gary Jones lightning.
Gary Jones has just steamed into the lead. And we are racing again.
It's great seeing this. I mean, the entire field is so tightly bunched together, and people going way off track there behind them. Is that garlic?
Yeah. There goes Mark Tranter back through, and we are looking back at Will Burnett in third place. So Gary Jones on the inside in the Jaguar livery, with Mark Tranter in his usual, well, it looks like a Jamaican flag to me, on the outside, duelling for P1.
There's nothing in it between those two.
No. And behind them we've got Will Burnett and then Tony Hankin, Rob Miller.
Hankin and Miller side by side, really, really close there.
And there's Kelly getting involved on the outside.
The brave man
we're
to
on
go
board
on the
now with
outside
Kelly.
of, on a 3-wide corner. Hankin's well held.
Got flat, dropped it a little bit. But yeah, like you say, well held.
He just has to go for his...
Looks like he's coming in for his pit stop.
Yeah, he'll say it's deliberate, I'm sure. I believe him.
But he's missed the opportunity though, because he didn't do it under the safety car.
Absolutely, that's...
We're on board.
Yeah, well, you can say that's going to show you just the advantage that, well, look how far Miller is up now, and Winslade's had a problem. He's behind Hankin actually.
He was still a lap down, wasn't he?
Of course. But yeah, you can see the advantage that Miller's got. He's in third place, and every single car around him has to go in for a pit stop.
Yeah, and that's Winslade behind him, so still trying to unlap himself.
These engines totally at full pelt. On board with Kelly with Miller on the inside.
So that's Gary Jones, Mark Tranter, Winslade, all side by side, with Gavin Kelly getting on the outside there. Winslade going to the left.
Oh, that's not how you take that corner.
And Jones must be feeling sick with VR with that one.
Yeah, that's a big impact. And now Burnett straight in the wall.
A big one.
There's no damage on, but it's not going to be too easy to drive off that, is it? Jones in the grass.
Will we see a second safety car, or what's going to happen here? Yeah, safety car deployed.
Now, surely the rest of the field have to pit now.
Yeah. So, obviously the difficulty with the oval is that there are times when you do need to get out the throttle, even though it just feels like the completely opposite thing to what you want or need to do. And looks like Winslade just tried to dive to the inside rather than get out the throttle, because he had so much of a tow from the two cars ahead of him. But trying to get back up onto the banking just knocked his... Well, he lost it.
Oh yeah, you could see it when it's a big steep angle joining the banking from there, rather than being on the course, on the oval itself. And well, the result was what we saw, and Jones, the innocent bystander, with a hefty dose of
innocent leader as well. I mean, long way to go in this race, but what might have been, that could have been a maiden win for Gary, maybe.
A free trip to the vomit comet. And was that Line there facing the wrong way?
Line still struggling with his...
Well, we're on board now with Miller, who is our leader, and he's looked like he's doing a slalom course.
Gary Jones diving into the pits.
So we saw earlier, you're right, with Line, with the problems he had, which looked like damage in an undamaged race. And they've had several other cars now in the wall, but I don't think anybody else has had such damage problems, right?
No, we haven't seen anyone have the damage that... And there's that horrible bump as you come out the pit lane, really unsettles the car. So we can see Tranter and Kelly both pitted now under safety car conditions. And who else did we see in there? We saw Gary coming in. See if anyone else... And Will Burnett in the pits as well at the moment.
So the pace car, we've got Garlic. It's got Garlic straight behind it in second place. So where is Miller?
So Rob Miller is leading, but yeah, as you say, James Garlic is the car immediately behind the safety car, followed by the Ledge and then Hankin. So this is a topsy-turvy order, and will they get... Yeah, so Gary is steaming around the outside. Presumably he's been told by race control where to go. So let's see where everyone slots in. 7 minutes to go in the race.
I know it was a few years ago when Formula One did the double points for the final race of the season, but perhaps sticking them in bumper cars like this has been for Limit of Adhesion should be what they're doing, because what a what a topsy-turvy order, you're right. This is...
It has been carnage.
Carnage is a perfect word, yes. This has been carnage.
And maybe that's Winslade's new nickname then, Carnage, because he just seems to have caused most of this. Here we've got a replay of lap 14.
So safety car's pulled in.
Oh, and look at that, he just steams round, gets over the safety car line and into the lead.
Well done, Gary. That was opportunistic to the max.
Yeah, great move. So we've got a replay now. Winslade gets into Gavin Kelly.
And that's why both of those were so far off the line. It was Winslade, not Garlic. I apologise.
And then lap 18. So Winslade's straddling the yellow line and then inside the yellow line, but he's going to pop onto the banking.
It just unsettles the car, doesn't it?
Yeah. So initially he got onto the banking okay, but then he just, unsettled the rear, and there was someone else having a huge spin there. And back of that was that Gavin, I think we're going to see now. Oh,
so, several trips to the Vomit Comet for everybody. That's...
Yeah. So Winslade doing a good job of taking out almost the entire half the field there.
Well, I'm...
Oh, that's not... Oh, God. That's just horrible to look at, isn't it?
Yeah, Burnett trying his very best to hold on to that.
Back to lap 19.
Bulldozer coming through.
Winslade getting a penalty for too many incident points and needing to do a drive-through.
He's got off lightly there, hasn't he? Yeah. Pace car in.
Pace car in and off we go. Tranter getting the jump on James, so James a bit slow to get away. So it says Rob Miller is leading, but Rob is actually down there about the 7th car in this train.
So is Rob... Oh, we've got a passing pace car. Oh, well, that's going to even it up a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's a hold for 60 seconds. That's a long old stop. Stop and go for James Garlic for passing the leader as well.
So it looks like our graphics department and the stewards have been extremely busy on this race.
Yeah. So here's Winslade coming in now.
He'll be familiar with
his drive-through.
Familiar with entering the pits at this point.
You'd hope so. And there's Gavin Kelly going to the inside of Mark Tranter.
Our championship leaders and effective race leaders with Miller's penalty.
Well, yeah. Good point. And there's the Ledge then running fourth, but as you say, that would be a net third. Dave Line has a another weird crash and is now upside down and stuck on the fence. You're going to need to get towed from there, Dave, and he does.
Well, Dave Line really blurring the lines of physics, I think, with how many clipping problems he's had in this race. He was inside Winslade at one point, I think. Now he's inside a fence. And there's Miller coming in to serve his brief 60-second drive-through.
3 cars sitting in there now. So stretching the limits of what the simulator is capable of showing to us, unfortunately. 3 laps to go, it's saying, on the chart. And just under 3 minutes left. So Gavin now ahead of Mark, and Lawrence now up to P3.
I'd say Lawrence is in a prime position here to benefit from the slipstream as these two leaders. Well, we've got Tranter just trying to pull into it a little bit. And Winslade just
his day just came from bad to worse over a 15-second penalty for speeding in the pit. And
add on to that.
And an unsafe pit exit, stop and go penalty. Well, that's going to be a long one.
Well, perhaps Winslade's confused with the rules and thinks that the points you get are for fucking line. I've got it as well. But the points you get from doing penalty points rather than points in the championship for finishing first, because that's a hell of a lot of points he's received in this race.
Well, yeah, and it's with Lawrence Aaron Jenkins and Gary Jones up there in 3 and 4 at the moment, that he's going to be losing positions in the championship if he's not careful.
That's a great observation, absolutely. It's a terrific result for both of those. Gary Jones in particular, where we got Hankin just looking at the back of him. But yeah, Gary Jones was leading the race, but even so, with the big crash he's had, 4th place is still a terrific position to be in.
Yeah, it really is. So it looks like the gap, first to second is 0.04 at the moment. It was 0.01 a minute ago, very close. And Lawrence, as you say, is now 1.4 seconds, so he's going to be picking up the slipstream from both of these. And Gary and Tony are actually a lap apart, despite being side by side on the track.
It's optimum position now. This is unless we have a big incident, which I suppose even at this point would be a pace car, but it could be any of those 4 for the podium with this final race.
Yeah.
For the victory, this is
Well, let's see if Lawrence needs to get into the slipstream with these two. He's running out of time to do it, but this is the optimal time for him.
And that's not what you want to see when you're running in 4th place and hoping to get that 3rd place as a Winslade in your rear view.
No. The dangerous orange as he makes a bit of a mistake and keeps the car together. There's Tony on the low side.
Oof.
And Tony comes. Tony lost it into Winslade.
Bit of payback from Tony on behalf of everybody, perhaps. Burnett passes for 5th.
It's astonishing to see a crash with Winslade where it wasn't his fault. The safety car out again, so it looks like we're going to finish under the safety car, unfortunately.
So, by virtue of the safety car, perhaps Kelly, who's in the lead, I think might inherit the victory. For sake of the pace car was going to imitate the rest of the field there and punt his way through.
The safety car phased reality there and went straight through. On board with Dave Line then. He's inside the yellow line. So once again, don't go the wrong side of the yellow line unless you want to have a huge accident.
Yeah, it's a mirror of the instance with Winslade, isn't it?
Yeah. No one can beat Max Verstappen for driver of the day.
Yeah. The Dutch fans are watching Limited Adhesion, the Dutch army, and you see them prance around in orange, and Winslade prance around in orange now, bashing his way through the corners.
Well, we've finished the race, look, so... And a penalty for passing under yellow for Mark. Well, this is... Mark was on the podium there, but look at that. So, our finishing order, Gavin Kelly picks up the win from Lawrence Aaron Jenkins in 2nd place. What a result for that guy. Gary Jones in 3rd place and on the podium, which is a great result, but you have to say that, you know, he had the opportunity for a win earlier, so but I dare say he'll take it. Oh, let's catch our breath, and blimey, what a race.
Oh, I'm glad we've got a few weeks off before I have to think about anything else, because it's going to take a while to take stock of all that. That was wild, wasn't it? I've seen the National Lottery be more predictable than that.
Yeah, that was a crazy race with a lot of crashes. And if we take a look at some driver quotes from it, Mark Tranter, massive shame it ended under yellow, felt he'd lined it up perfectly for the win. Silly mistake to throw the podium away at the flag when he was expecting a green white check at restart. I was expecting it to go back. It's weird that it ended under pace car. I wasn't expecting that at all. Gavin Kelly did everything he could, got the win, not enough for the championship. Dave Lyon, dirty Winslade. And the Ledge says he thinks he's just worked out why he's so slow on the road tracks, because he turns out he's an oval driver. I mean, he had a great race, didn't he? James Garlick and Rob saying, well, the confusion about the safety car and what they had to do under it. So Will Burnett was a solid performance all round. Well, not all round all the drivers. Shame that he was knocked out of the competition for third place. So if we take a look at the final standings for the championship, then we have Mark Tranter is our limited adhesion radical champion with 170 points from his best 8 results. Gavin Kelly only 4 points shy in second place, and Dave Lyon finishing in third, 111 points. Rob Miller finishes fourth from Will Burnett, Stephen Batty, then Tony Hankin, Gary Jones and Lawrence Aaron Jenkins both zooming ahead of Winslade after that poor result for Winslade on the oval. And then we've got Paul Dixon from Jim Kimberley and James Garlick picking up the rear after only taking place in 3 races at the end.
Even with the strong results that Tranter had through the middle of the season when he joined, those final 2 rounds could really have upset him with this final result. That penalty could have really done a lot more damage. Now look at the best 8.
Yeah, no, it was probably the worst kind of grenade that we could have thrown at him in terms of upsetting his results. Could have been an absolute nightmare for him.
Really, really lucky. Well, I'll say lucky, but it's the cream has risen to the top, I think. Gavin Kelly started strong. The tail end of the season not so strong for him, but Dave Lyon has always been fairly consistent. Lucky that we can drop some of these results, but even if he hadn't, it'd still be up there in third place. So our top 3, very well deserved, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next season it's entirely different. We're going to have completely different cars and different tracks, so it could really shake up everything.
Hopefully some new winners and some new exciting racing. So I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this season. And Jim, I want to thank you for being there with me and calling all the action.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, same here. And so thank you everybody for watching, and this has been the Limited Adhesion Radical Championship presented by Make Real Media. We'll be back for season 2 with the Skip Barber. See you all then. Thanks. Bye.